everyone. This is Kenya Anderson, and I haven't been on here for a while. I've been busy working on other YouTube projects and just decided to come back here post 2016 election to give my thoughts on some things that have been floating around on Facebook and on Twitter, on Instagram, and the news, and just in life in general. So we're all surprised. We're all surprised that Trump was elected the president, the 45th president of the United States. And since the popular vote was won by Hillary Clinton, there are many, many hurt feelings right now. This has been a very unusual election. This is probably the first time in my lifetime where I've ever seen or heard protests and riots after an election. If I remember correctly, I don't even recall there being any protests or riots after the elections, the two elections for President Obama. There were many threats to end his life. There were many derogatory signs and memes and statements made in social media and, just in life in general, depending on where you live. But never before have we seen this level of vitriol. And I don't say that negatively at all, because I did not vote for Trump. As you know from my last video, I told you I was not going to vote for Trump or Hillary Clinton, and I stood by my decision. I actually wrote Bernie Sanders' name in, and I feel good about that. And if you remember from my last video, I said that whoever wins the election, we get what we deserve. And we got Trump. Things are about to be different. We are about to see the second era of Ronald Reagan. I call Trump Ronald Reagan. Actually, I said that Trump is Ronald Reagan revisited. One of my friends said this is Ronald Reagan 2.0. And I'm dating myself because I was a preteen when Ronald Reagan was elected back in 1980, and I'm sorry, 84. And I remember the fear, the concern that everyone had about what would happen, and the policies that Ronald Reagan, who was so out of touch with not just people of color, but people in general who did not look like him or reside at his level in life financially. It was an interesting time. As I mentioned in my previous video, I was being raised by my mom, my four brothers and sisters, and I. We lived in Greenville, Mississippi, one of the poorest areas in the United States, in an area called the Delta, which is still the poorest area in the United States. I think it might even be behind the Appalachian areas in West Virginia. But I remember two of the policies from the Reagan era that affected my family the most. Reagan reduced the food stamps benefits, and he also cut out a really good program that I used for 1 year called JTPA. I don't remember what it stands for, but JTPA was a program for what they called at-risk or impoverished youth. And it gave us a chance to work in well-paid jobs for the summer in between school, and at minimum wage, 40 hours a week. even though we were underage. It was a great program. That the money that I earned from that program actually helped me help my mother pay the bills that summer. I helped buy food and I helped pay a water bill one time and water was turned off. Had lots of memories of how beneficial that job was. It gave me something to put on my resume. It gave me some work experience, taught me how to behave in the workplace. It was great. And when I applied for that job the following year, the program had been taken away by Reagan. And I remember so clearly just being disappointed and being hurt, just because I had been looking forward to working for JTPA again. And I remember my school counselor telling me, Kenya, Reagan cut that program. There's nothing like that this year. I'm sorry. And I remember going home and just feeling so devastated. I had nothing to do. I was 15 and had nothing to do but sit in the house. At the time, I played tennis. And so I managed to keep myself busy playing tennis, but I needed to earn money to help pay for school expenses, and I wanted to help my mom. So I remember just walking around the neighborhood, which was also impoverished, and asking people if they needed any kind of odd jobs done. Did they need babysitting, or did they need their car washed, or did they need their grass cut? And I was actually competing with the young men who were walking down the street with their lawnmowers and their gas cans. And so, of course, I didn't have a lawnmower or a gas can. I just had myself, and I was just offering to use their equipment to mow their lawn. That was a tough summer. I remember that I went to my grandfather, my mom's dad, and he was a brick mason. He had his own little, self-employed brick masonry business, and he did brick mason around the town for various businesses and individuals. And I asked him if I could help him, if there was anything I could do, any accounting or bookkeeping, because I was really good with numbers. And I wanted to know if I could help him just do something to earn some money. I didn't care what I earned, just something. And he looked at me, because at the time I was fully grown. I was like I'm 5'10", so I was 5'10" and literally 125 pounds. I was just so skinny. And I didn't look as if I could even tow a wheelbarrow. But he gave me a chance, despite my grandmother's protests, and despite my mom's protests. They kept saying, you don't need to be out there with all those men hauling a wheelbarrow and hauling bricks. It's too hot out there. It's too much sun. And I remember just looking at my mom and looking at my grandmother and thinking, that doesn't make any sense. I don't care how hot it is. I need to earn some money. And they seemed so uncomfortable with the concept of me doing that. But my grandfather gave me a chance. And it was some hard, back-breaking work. I remember the first job he gave me was hauling bricks. I had to haul bricks from the pile that he had established on one side of the yard, the work area, and haul them over to the men who were laying their bricks. And even they thought I was strange out there hauling bricks. Like, what are you doing hauling bricks? And all I could think was, what in the hell are people upset about? I'm trying to earn some money. I don't have any money falling from a tree. Shoot. And I didn't want to be out there, but I needed to earn money. Then the next job he gave me was he taught me how to mix the mortar. Then he taught me how to lay the bricks. And all of this within 1 week. And I was just so excited. All I could think was, for the next 12 weeks, I was going to get a chance to earn some money. And I didn't know what I was going to earn, but I was just excited about it. At the end of that first week, my grandmother looked at me. I'm a dark complexioned woman, and I remember my face was just shining from the sun. And when I get really, really dark from the sun, my skin glows, gets this almost a reddish, deep, dark Hershey glow. It's interesting. And it only happens in the summertime when I get this coloring. And my grandmother was just appalled. She said, "Oh, you're just getting black. You're getting black." And I didn't see, I didn't care, and I didn't know what she was talking about. I just knew I was earning money. My grandfather gave me my first pay of, he gave me $100. I was so proud of that money. That was like 8 hours a day. I also lost more weight. Like the end of that first week, I was probably down to 115 because I would come home and I would have no appetite. I was going to come home, take a shower, and go to sleep. Well, my grandmother just couldn't stand it. And she kept nagging and nagging and nagging and nagging me and nagging my mother. "Why are you letting her tow those bricks?" And Charles was my grandfather. "Why are you doing that? Now she shouldn't be out there. Girls shouldn't be out there." And I'm thinking, are you going to give me some money? Are you going to do something and give me a job? Because I need money. I don't care about what girls are supposed to do. That was so strange to me. Anyway, my grandfather gave in. Maybe deep down, he was uncomfortable. And he decided, I'm going to give Kenya some money, just give her her first pay, and then she can't come back. And so he came to me that following Monday. I was all ready. I had my lunchbox and my cooler, and I was dressed appropriately with my hat and my jeans. I was ready this time. I had money and purchased some gloves with the money that he had paid me. And, I had walked from my mom's house to my grandparents' house 2 miles away. And, I said, "Hey, Granddaddy, I'm here." And he said, "Kenya May?" He used to call me Kenya May. Anybody from the South, you know that Southerners put the word May or Ann or something in the middle of your name. Anyway, my middle name is Nicole, but he called me Kenya May. He said, "Kenya May, I just can't have you out there. You're a pretty young girl, and I just can't have you out there with all those mangy men and those musty men, and it's gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. You don't need any money." I was like, where did this come from? I said, "But Granddaddy, did I do a bad job? Or did you not like what I did?" He said, "Oh no, you worked hard. Your grandmother just doesn't like you being out there, and I don't like it either. Let me take you home." Oh, that was a blow. I was just so hurt. I just didn't know what to do because I knew there were no jobs. It was a very impoverished area. Like even the McDonald's jobs were taken by all the older people or students who were on like summer work programs that I couldn't get into because I had been an athlete. And I remember just feeling so distraught, like what in the world? That was a very lean summer. Like if someone had come up to me and said, "Hey, I got some drugs for you to sell," I would have sold them. I would have. I just wasn't about that life. I wasn't in that life. I was known for being the good girl and going to school and getting her grades and being an athlete. I was quiet. I didn't even have a boyfriend, none of those things. So I didn't, even though I was living in the hood, in a very bad neighborhood, I didn't even know how to approach someone who sold drugs. I wouldn't even know what to say. I just wasn't in the life. So I just stayed broke. So that's my little diversion. I want to talk to you about why I said I gave you a little story about my life and what that means in terms of what life will look like under Trump. Because under Reagan, it was hard. As a young girl growing up with a mother and siblings on public assistance, it was hard. There were days when water was turned off, and electricity was turned off, and my mom wanted to get a job, but it couldn't get a job to help pay the bills and daycare and all these other things. And and she was not a single mother. She actually was married. It's my father had become drug addicted, and addiction took him away from our family for several years, and so she had to go back home to regroup. And she had skills and everything, but could not get a job that would pay enough to cover all the bills for these kids. So we were on public assistance for like about 7 years of my childhood. Anyway, Fast forward to Donald Trump. Fast forward to the beginning, as some people have said, of the era of white supremacy. It's interesting because when I was a child under Reagan, I had never heard of the term white supremacy. I just knew white people, black people, and the Asian people who work in the stores. But, I'm older now, I've been to school, traveled around the world, I've lived in different places in the world, and I have a different perspective now. This is going to sound really strange, but I'm not afraid of what's going to happen under Trump. I'm concerned. I'm worried a little bit about the people that I know are not prepared. But I'm also optimistic because we're living in a time where almost anyone can use the most basic of skills to earn a living, create a hustle, create a business, and make it. And if you didn't use that time under President Obama during the age, I call President Obama's presidency the dispensation of grace. If you did not use that time wisely and prepare and educate yourself or whatever it took, then yes, it will be a little more strained under Trump if you are not part of the top 10%. However, I look back on what my family went through under Reagan, and we survived it, and I never thought it could get any worse, and I never thought we would even get through that, but we did. We did. And by the time I made it to college, I voted for the first time at the age of 18 for President Bill Clinton. So I won't digress to that story because that's a lot of stuff going on there too. But I just want to tell people that you will get through this. Use this time to think, to reflect on what you want to do with your life. If you are a parent, think about what you want your child to have. Think about how you felt when you found out President-elect Donald Trump would be the next president of the United States. What went through your mind? What were your immediate fears? Now let's face those fears. What can you do to face and tackle that issue head on and tackle the fear and the concern and the anxiety that thought brings to you? Whoever you are, black, white, male, female, gay, transgender, elderly, disabled, or white male. There are white males who did not like the idea of President Trump being the president. Christian, Muslim, Buddhist. Think about those things. Think about the fact that you do not want to be a slave to your fear. Maybe you did not use the dispensation of grace to prepare. So how do you do it now? Think differently about your future. Think differently about the people in your life, what they mean to you. Think differently about what you have prioritized all this time. The things we spend so much time worrying about all of a sudden seem so insignificant when a real crisis comes. I had other things I wanted to say. I was going to talk about the statistics, about the number of people who voted for Trump versus Hillary Clinton, the types of people, the number of African Americans who actually voted for Trump this time or the Republican Party. But you can go online and find that information. For some reason, I'm just not feeling that. And perhaps I will do another video and have a closer look at the statistics and what I think they mean. But, after After perusing Facebook and talking to so many of my friends and listening and hearing the diverse points of view, I just felt as if I wanted to come on here and let people know that this can be an amazing time for opportunity for you to see what you're made of. This can be a time for you to decide what direction you want your life to go in. I myself have a very, very good job, and I have to say that I want for nothing. I don't have any children. So whatever happens, even up to losing my job, I'm not concerned. I would be okay. But even I know that the changes that are coming could affect me adversely. And I've spent this time thinking, what would I do if Trump were to decide we're going to eliminate my job? I actually have a government position. I work for a government agency, and he is not a fan of government positions. Everybody knows that. So I could very easily be out of a job. What would I do? So I'm spending my time counting up the money that I've saved and that I've invested, looking at what my options could be to make immediate income should that happen, and also looking at would I like to take this time to pursue a different project? Is there a creative endeavor that I wanted to engage in? Is this the time I should leave and, as they say, post up in a foreign country and do something different? Or would I want to go back to school and pursue another career? I'm actually in my third career now, and starting to enjoy it more often than not. I'm still energetic. I'm still excited about life. So the possibilities are endless. So many things we can do with this. So that's what I wanted to say. This is for my friends and my acquaintances, for people who are feeling anxiety. I just want you to stop for a moment, be good to yourself, show empathy to yourself, show compassion to yourself. Now, what is that? What does that mean? How should that look? What should compassion look like for yourself? It means, if you can, take a day off from work. Just take a I call it a mental health day. A mental health day is a sick day. I'm not physically sick, but sometimes you're tired emotionally or psychologically, and you just need time to get away from the noise. And you may use that day to sleep in, or get up and go to the park and take a long walk, or go to your favorite coffee shop and read a good book. You may decide to go to a day spa and pamper yourself. You may decide to go to a movie. You may decide to pray, meditate, think about all the good things in your life. One day I took a mental health day, and I called all the people that I hadn't spoken to in years. My spirit just felt like reaching out to people that I hadn't heard from in a long time. And we reconnected. And it was really beautiful. And then after I reconnected with my friends, I went for a walk with my dog Zeus, and then I came back home and called up my dad and spent some time with him, took him out to lunch. Just a nice, quiet, calm day. Just appreciating what is right now. So I want you all to think about those things. Think about the fact that you're here, and right now you're alive, and right now you have the rest of your life in front of you, and the possibilities are endless, absolutely endless, on what you can be. Yes, things will be different. For some of us, it may be worse. For many of us, it will be better. For a significant number of us, there will be no change at all, because the issues that concern President-elect Trump don't concern you, and life will go on as normal. But I'm going to end right now and let you think on those things. I think I'll wait for another video to talk about the other issues that impact us. I definitely want to talk about the statistics. They're very interesting, thinking about who voted for Trump and who didn't, why, what that means. There's so many theories out there, but I will leave that for another video. Good night and be well.